Welcome, Michele Cruz, to the Stephen Skinner podcast this morning.
Hi.
That's great. You are all prepared with your coffee from Cracked Bean.
Yeah.
So again, some questions about Cracked Bean. Obviously, you are the architect and the brain behind it.
I'm neither. The brains, the beauty, and the brawn are all Glenn.
Well, you know, they say owning a coffee shop in today's thing is truly a grind, and I would probably agree. But before we talk about this Eastwood cafe that everyone loves and goes to, tell me a little bit about your backstory. So, because you did coffee much before you opened this cafe in Eastwood.
Yeah.
Give us a little bit about that. What year it happened and how you even got into it.
So Glenn has been, Glenn's been hobby roasting for 10 plus years.
Wow.
And Glenn and I met through coffee, which is a kind of cute little story in by itself, but Glenn and I met through coffee, and he bought a small prosumer roaster that we could roast coffee in the house. So once a week on Sundays, we have to open up all the windows in the house, and we'd roast coffee just for our own consumption. And we go through probably at home 2 to 3 or more pounds of coffee a week at the time. And so that's a whole day of roasting, because you'd have to roast a small batch, like 100 so-ish grams, and then the roaster would have to cool all the way down, and then you could roast it again. So we'd spend all day long roasting just enough for the two of us to drink coffee for the week. We took a great trip in California in 2016, 2017, I don't remember now. We took a long trip from San Diego all the way to Seattle with really the only intention to stop at small independent-owned coffee shops and roasteries. And little did we know that it was really the foundation to when we opened our own brick and mortar place and cafe, what that was going to look like, what foods we were going to offer, what the espresso was going to be like, what the coffee service and the feel and the team was going to feel like. And so we got back from that trip, and Glenn started a conversation with another local roaster, Matt Pearson with Simple Roast, about buying his small 2-kilo commercial roaster. We bought the roaster and installed it in our garage at home so that we could now roast enough coffee in one shebang for the two of us. But you just can't roast one batch. So he would roast a couple of batches. But now we got coffee coming out of our eyeballs, literally.
Did people start asking you then, like?
Yeah. We were giving it away. It's kind of like when you grow a vegetable patch and you plant zucchini, but you don't plant just one zucchini plant. You plant like 3, because you don't really know the first time you plant it.
And then you got this crop full of stuff.
You've got zucchini,
Yep.
and you're literally like sneaking it and putting it on your neighbor's porch and like running away. And so we had coffee coming out of our eyeballs, and we were giving it away to friends and family, and people were telling us, oh, this is the best coffee that we've ever had. You know, you should open a business. And Glenn and I are both in our professional capacities. You know, he has a business. I'm working full-time here in the area as a project manager. We didn't have time. And so we're like, no. And people are like, no, you should really start a business. And the long of the short of it is that when somebody says you can't to me, or you won't, or they poke
the bear.
I kind of move quickly.
You're gonna prove them wrong.
Yeah, and so my sister had a baby, and she asked me to watch my niece for a few hours, and so I went over and worked from her house while I was watching my niece Kate, and sitting on the counter is a bag of coffee. Now, we're giving coffee away to everybody, but there's a bag of coffee from Starbucks sitting on the counter. And
She knows you do this, don't you?
Yeah, like
Like, why would you?
What?
Yeah.
So I asked her, why would you buy coffee from Starbucks, but I'll give you coffee? And she's like, oh, well, I don't know if what you're doing is safe and healthy and like where you're getting your beans are legal. And I was like,
You kidding me?
are you out of your mind? And so
Took it to the next level? Did
yeah,
you?
like literally started the LLC that night. Like within weeks, we started the LLC.
So when I first met you, you had, was it like 1 day a week or 2 days a week? You had like almost like a storage unit converted to a coffee roasting center. So you had, definitely you had grown from what the garage was. But then was it like a 1 day a week, or you did coffee tasting before you went to an actual cafe with every, open daily?
Yeah, so we opened the LLC and needed to find a commercial space, and very fortunate for us, again, Matt Pearson, so things kind of just align all perfectly. Matt Pearson was growing his business and had vacated the space that he was roasting in Manlius. But his landlord would not let him out of his lease. So he was still paying his lease there even though it was vacant. So we needed to find a commercial space, and Matt was like, well, maybe my landlord will just let me out if you take it over. So serendipitously, it worked out really well. The space was already coded for roasting, so we didn't have to do anything special. We didn't have any problems with the town and the village of Manlius. It was literally like, this is what we're gonna do. And they were like, okay. And we could start doing it right away. And so Saturdays we roasted, and the intention wasn't to open to the public. It was just to roast for us. And we were starting to do farmers markets.
Okay.
And so we were just gonna roast and give coffee to our friends and family and do a farmers market.
Did you go to then host? Did you do some wholesaling or selling to other cafes after that?
Yeah, afterwards,
Afterwards,
yeah.
so you did the farmers market.
Yep. So the
like
farmers market, and Glenn was, his office and his business was in downtown in Clinton Square, and so he was feeding coffee, giving coffee to the folks at Darwin's, and they were like, "Well, do you wholesale?" And we're like, "Yes." And so
one thing just led to another.
Yeah, and just one thing led to another. So with the one thing that led to another, people could smell the coffee roasting in Manlius, and so they were coming to the storage unit roastery, and like, can we buy beans? And we're like, yes. And they're like, do you serve coffee? And we're like, I can make a French press. Like, because we didn't have any of that. It was literally like as people on the fly, as people asked for it. And my dad would come in, and he would be like, "What do you mean you're making French presses for coffee for people, but you don't have anything to eat? People want something to eat with it." And I'm like, "Dad, I'm not a baker. I don't cook." And Glenn's like, "She doesn't even cook."
Oh my goodness.
And so all of a sudden, like, I'm making apple pancakes, and I'm making, brownies and cupcakes and all kinds of crazy things, and bringing like just, a batch. And if they sell, then great. If they didn't sell, then, and most of the time we were just giving them away. But it was just something to chit chat with people.
So you had that happen for like a year or 2 years.
For 2 years.
And then you started looking, saying, you know what? We want to possibly do this idea of brick and mortar, do the big plunge. I mean, because you had to leave what you were doing as a career to make the shift and transition, correct?
Yes. And I didn't do it willingly. I call it, your son has a dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, so has a big dog.
Yes.
Right. So have you ever tried to take the dog somewhere it doesn't want to go?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and it dog breaks. So it puts its back end down and its front feet stiff out, and you're dragging it by the collar, like maybe kicking and screaming at the dog to come with you. We call that dog breaking. So I was dog breaking. I had a successful career project managing here in Central New York, and Glenn owned his own business in the tech and information world. And we didn't have time for anything more. It was fun, it was social for us, it was a great hobby career. The owner of the business that I worked for, again, pushing and poking the bear, was fully aware of what I was doing, but and he told me, I'm okay with it because it's just a hobby business. You'll never make anything of it. And
that's not the thing
it always kind of niggled and ate at me. And then COVID happened. And
made something tough even tougher.
Yeah, made something tough even tougher. Because it wasn't, the coffee business was always a passion. But what ended up happening was the company that I was working for restructured. And when they restructured, my role was eliminated, like a lot of roles in the world.
So it almost like it made it so that this thing in the back of your mind of someone telling you that you can't probably do this as a hobby, it's like, this is the chance.
Yes,
if you're going to do it.
Yes and no, because what ended up happening was I had a really tough weekend, and Monday, I was looking for a new job. Like, I was preparing my resume, and I was gonna go right back into something somewhere else. I had a lot of contacts in Central New York. Like, I'm educated. And Glenn is like, what are you doing? You have a phenomenal business that if you just put the same passion and energy into it, you could make something great. And I was like, oh, no. No.
Dog breaking.
No. Not me. Not by myself. Not going to do it. And he's like, well, you either need to, excuse my language, but shut or get off the pot. Like, you need to either make this happen, or we need to not do this thing as a business, like not as a business, but as a hobby business, if that makes sense, because it wasn't going to go anywhere without a full energy.
You got to give it all or nothing.
All or nothing, and it was a great opportunity too. And so I did. We very quickly reached out to a real estate agent in regards to spaces. Started hunting and looking. Knew in the back of our minds what we wanted and where we knew we wanted to be in a high traffic area. We knew we wanted some commercial business and a strong neighborhood, but we didn't know where. So we were looking everywhere. We wanted a drive-through, but drive-throughs are big money. Major. And when you have no substantial income coming in, and a passion business that really was like a side hustle, it was lots of social fun, but no income generation. Drive-through space is expensive. And so I couldn't forward think we're going to pay $6,000 a month in rent for this thing that
it's going to be a startup,
basically. Is really a startup with no investor money. It's literally everything that's in my account. Like, I'm funding this on my own. And so, and sweat equity.
And it's been almost now, so fast forward then.
Fast forward.
You came to, again, we met up.
Yeah.
Obviously.
3 months in the search. We had pretty much given up, and I was starting to quietly put some feelers out for a job. And Tyler Cagwin with Nostalgia Chocolate gave me a call and said, hey, I just looked at the spot in Eastwood, and I think that you should go look at it. And I said, are you sure? And he said, I think it's perfect for you. And I said, Eastwood? Like, I'm from Eastwood. I know Eastwood really well, and I can't think of a spot that would be great for us. And he goes, no, it's perfect. And I said, okay. And so we came and looked at the spot at the cafe. That was I don't know. It must have been January.
Almost 2 years? Almost 2 years?
Yeah, it's been two. Technically, it's been 2 years.
2 years.
Almost 2 years, yeah.
2 years.
And we saw the spot, and we had some had to go talk about it.
Yeah.
And then we talked to our lawyer and talked to our real estate agent, and our lawyer was like, well, you know, why don't you just really see how invested Steven is in Eastwood and make him put his money where his mouth is? And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, you make the offer. Instead of letting Steven make the offer, you make the offer. And I was like, that's not traditional.
Yeah, but Steven does a lot of things that are a little bit not quite traditional.
And you, like, we shot the world, and you said yes, and which was remarkable.
Wow.
And
we appreciate you and Glenn.
Yeah.
And on top of that, obviously, Eastwood. I
Yeah,
think
love Eastwood.
You're becoming the staple, along with so many other amazing small businesses. And it's obviously, we had Joe Crabb on earlier, and again, this renaissance of small businesses coming back to the area. It is, I think, a lot of people, even if they don't live here now, their roots are from here.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of traffic that goes through this area.
Yeah.
You guys you're making it home for people.
Yeah, we've been here 2 years now, or almost 2 years, and we still get people that walk in the door who drive by every day and for the first time are stopping. They're stopping because they're coming to look at the house, look at schools, look at the other places that are here. They're walking up and down the street, so they're going to, Nav's Popcorn, which recently opened up. They're having yogurt. The kids are having yogurt at the yogurt place, and mom and dad are walking down to get a cup of coffee because they need that afternoon pick-me-up. Or they're going down and they're getting a plant from the plant store, or they're gonna do a brewery run in Syracuse, and so they're getting a coffee beforehand, and then they're gonna go to Heroes, and then they're gonna go to Eastwood Brewery, and then they're gonna go to Buried Acorn.
It's becoming the village again.
Yeah,
I mean,
it really is.
I mean, it's been a slow process, but
Yeah.
you're making that possible. When you opened the place here at the theater, is there something over the last 2 years that has been the biggest shock? Obviously, we've been dealing with the whole COVID pandemic, the changes in the business culture. Anything else that is a shock to you right now that you've been thinking, it's either this is my greatest challenge right now?
Yeah, we have thought about that. Like, what does 2023 bring? What are the challenges that face us? And I think one of the things that attracted us to the space was that we saw a strong commercial presence. So a strong Monday through Friday commercial presence, because a couple of national businesses were located right here in Eastwood.
And that are not here now.
That are not here now.
And that hurts.
And so we figured Monday through Friday, strong commercial traffic. Saturday and Sunday, strong local pedestrian community traffic. COVID helped businesses change and restructure, and those national businesses sent their staff home permanently, which
makes it extremely difficult.
Hurts. Like, I'm not gonna.
Badly.
It hurts. It hurts. It hurts. The hope is now those buildings, or at least a part of those buildings, are available for lease. So the challenge is for us, and the hope for 2023 is that some big business or some business in the community that's moving to Syracuse sees this as a great opportunity for their staff to come to a great neighborhood that's growing and is enticing other small local businesses, and already has the infrastructure in place that their business can pick up and fly. The parking is here, the neighborhood is here, there's great schools, there's low taxes, the houses are well maintained.
And business then would only go from where you are and up.
Yeah.
Because of that thing.
Yeah.
I think last question I would ask you is, how has Eastwood, again, I'm biased, I love this town, I live here. Have they been, how have they received you guys?
Wonderfully.
Are they supportive? They're super supportive, aren't they?
Super support, yeah. I can't even tell you wonderfully. And it doesn't even make sense. People walk through the door and I'll recognize them, but I don't know where I recognize them from. And just in chit-chatting, all of a sudden, oh my God, you're a Cruz. Doesn't your family, didn't they live on Collingwood? Yep. Yeah, that's us. Didn't your brothers go to the, Tip a Few or where Sinbad's is now? I can't remember the name of the East Room. Or what about? Oh, do you remember when the convenience store, like the little convenience store, but the little Jeff's, which is
little corner store.
It's a little corner store. Like my family, I can remember my grandmother would send me up to Jeff's to get milk and eggs or burned dairy. And so all of a sudden we're talking about how Steak and Sunday is closed down, but they're, doing this, or that family's doing this, and all of a sudden you're re-meeting people that you've really known for 40 years. My dad will come in and visit, and he's seeing people that he hasn't seen forever, and it's a great,
I mean, Syracuse is a small enough city, but then you
town.
But then you have Eastwood, obviously even smaller, and so you think that when you come back, well, no one will recognize. No, they're all here, or a family member's here. It was the dream over the past 20 years that we would be able to have a vibrant, walkable shopping business thing, and that it could come back again. I know
it absolutely can.
I know many people watching this.
It isn't that it can. It is coming back.
It is.
It really. With all of the new businesses that are here, it's everything that you'd find in a chic, big city. You're seeing it right here.
Yeah.
It's all artisan. It's owner operated. Yeah. It's people who are putting their heart and their soul and their blood. They're sharing it with their family members. And when I say sharing it, there might be some inductive slave labor involved.
Yes, I'm sure my kids can
my
relate to that.
child, you're gonna come wash dishes with me, or you're my significant other, spouse, partner. We gotta go.
You're gonna serve some coffee.
You're gonna do something, because this doesn't happen alone, and it is a village mentality. When I started at the cafe, it was Glenn and I. There was nobody else. Glenn would roast the beans, and I would package, and then I would deliver wholesale, and then Wednesday or Thursday through Sunday I was open, 10 hours a day here. I had no staff. I had no team. Yeah. It was just the two of us. And slowly.
But it has grown since then.
Yeah, I have a staff.
And you're 7 days a week now.
7 days a week, 7 to 4.
Yeah.
I have a staff of 7. 4 of those staff members live within walking distance of the cafe. They were customers before they were staff members.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it's a love, it's a passion.
It's a love and a passion.
Yeah.
I mean, you just exude the energy that you've already been doing. And on top of that, I know Eastwood. I mean, I know you probably hear some, but again, what I hear is that people just love this place. It is the go-to. It is their go-to to hang out. It's their go-to to, all walks of life, all backgrounds, all nationalities, people coming for all different reasons. Yep. It's just it's an awesome place.
Yep. We have students from all of the local colleges and universities that come and study. We have professionals who are coming and having meetings in the afternoons. Moms, stay-at-home moms that are bringing their little ones in just for, I got to get out of the house because I can't look at these 4 walls anymore. People who work from home remotely, who, again, they can only stare out their window for so long. They're coming in and working. And we have people who are just retirees, meeting old friends, or just enjoying a local stroll through the neighborhood, who are just coming in to hang out and have a cup of joe. Yep.
Thank you so much, Michele
Yeah.
Cruz. And say hi to Glenn for us, too.
Yeah,
okay?
of course. Thanks,
All right,
Stephen.
thanks so much.
Yeah.